What's up, YouTube? Welcome to NBA Hoops. This is Exposing a LeBron Fan Part 3. Let's get it.
Play baseball, Michael Jordan. You left the Bulls. After you left the Bulls, they had won 58 games. The next year, they still won 56 games with Scottie Pippen. So that let you know Scottie Pippen was still hooping, because even after you left, they still went to the end of the playoffs and almost made the finals and won 7 games with the Knicks. So what are you talking about? Then he came back and played the Seattle Supersonics in 95. And the Seattle Supersonics, who did they beat? Nobody. Went to the finals once, played Gary Payne. Man, you sorry. And then who you play after that? A 34 and 35-year-old John Stockton and Karl Malone? That's who you went up against? An old-ass Utah team? So what? You won 6 times? So what? LeBron done win 8 times already. You only done win 6 times. LeBron gonna finish beating you in scoring and assists. He gonna be the leading scorer of all time. Kobe ain't even in the conversation. Kobe, you sorry as shit. If Kobe was that damn good, Kobe was on the team with Shaq. Shaq had them 3 MVPs. Shaq had them 3 finals MVPs. You weren't even the best player on your team, bro. So then guess what happened to you? Then y'all got y'all ass whooped by Detroit in 2004. Detroit whooped that ass. Detroit put y'all ass out. What happened? Detroit beat y'all 4-1. Kobe was over there crying with tears running down his face. I remember he was crying like a little hoe that he is. And then guess what else happened? Guess what else happened? That same team that put Kobe out, them same Detroit Pistons, guess who beat him the next year? LeBron James. With nobody on his team. He scored 34 points in a row to put them niggas out. He might have got swept in the finals against San Antonio, but so what? He made it. Just like if Jordan was good enough in '88 to get past the Pistons, which he wasn't, but if he did and would have won against the real Showtime's Lakers, he would have got his swept by Magic Johnson. Yeah, when Michael Jackson beat the damn Lakers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had already retired. Man, get out of here with that Michael Jordan shit. Y'all young niggas don't know nothing. I'm old. I watched all that shit. Jordan, he was good, but guess what? He used to kick it over to Paxson. Money. He used to kick it over to B.J. Armstrong. Money. He used to kick it out to...
Okay. So, I wanted to get this over with because it's so pathetic. And so I just wanted to put the entire clip and just go for the kill towards the end of the whole video and just put everything to sleep. Okay, so the man said in 1993-1994 season, or prior to the 1993-1994 season, Michael Jordan left for baseball, which is true. And the Chicago Bulls won 2 less games without Michael Jordan than they did with Michael Jordan the season before, which is true, but it wasn't 58, 56, whatever he said. The standings were all wrong. But anyways, the point is, he said that Scottie Pippen had led this Chicago Bulls team to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they lost to the Knicks in 7 games, which they would have went to the finals if they didn't, which is far from the truth. The truth is that the Chicago Bulls lost in the second round of the NBA playoffs to the New York Knicks in 7 games, which means in order for them to get to the finals, they would have had to beat the Knicks, then go another series in the Eastern Conference Finals, then go to the NBA Finals, which they were unable to do so thanks to Michael Jordan's absence. Now, while MJ played baseball, the Chicago Bulls still had 3 NBA All-Stars on their team, from Horace Grant to B.J. Armstrong to Scottie Pippen. And the team added very, very key, valuable pieces to the team. It's not like when LeBron left Cleveland, where they lost 7 more players, like Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Mo Williams, and Anderson Varejao played about 30 games, and they lost Shaq. It was not like that with the Chicago Bulls. They didn't lose their all-star players when Michael Jordan left. Besides Michael Jordan, the team was still intact. They still had their Hall of Fame coach. They still had their best... They still had Scottie Pippen. They still had a legitimate, strong unit, but obviously not good enough to win enough to get them to the NBA Finals or to even the Eastern Conference Finals, in which they lost to the New York Knicks. Now, when Michael Jordan did come back, obviously very rusty, wasn't the same. 1996 comes around, changes it up, gets back into basketball shape, goes to the NBA Finals against the Sonics. At that time it was Seattle Supersonics. Now, the way he said it was, basically the Seattle Sonics sucked. They went to the finals 1 time and that's it. That's like me saying in 2012 that OKC team, which was the Sonics became Oklahoma City Thunder. They changed the names. Things changed, but anyways, they replaced the Seattle Supersonics. OKC went to the finals in 2012, never went there again. So am I going to sit here and say, well, 2012 NBA Finals that LeBron James beat was a trash team and they only had Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant and nobody else. No, the both very similar situations, except for the 1996 Gary Payton won Defensive Player of the Year. He was arguably the best perimeter defender in the entire league, and he was an excellent point guard. Gary Payton was an NBA All-Star. They had Sean Kemp, who was an NBA All-Star. They had Deadlift Shrimp, who was an NBA All-Star. They had Hersey Hawkins, who was a very, very solid player, similar to like Ray Allen in Boston. They had Nate McMillan, who was an All-NBA second-team defender at one point. So Irvin Johnson, they had a legit team, and they really gave the Chicago Bulls problems. And they went to 6 games. They ended up losing. They did an excellent job on Michael Jordan that series. I mean, that Michael Jordan 72 win Bulls team, the Sonics really gave them a run for their money. They were not a trash team. And Michael Jordan was aging at this point. He was past his prime, but again, he was able to lead his team in scoring, lead his team to another NBA championship in 1996. In 1997, 1998, he basically said, Karl Malone and John Stockton, when they were old. Okay, first of all, Karl Malone was 34 years old, and John Stockton was 33 years old. But how old was Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan was also 34 years old in 1997. He was 35 in 1998. And remember, Karl Malone won MVP as well. So it wasn't like, Karl Malone was washed up and old. He won the league MVP. Michael Jordan, another spark plug, into his system for him to go out and play and show the world that he was, deserving of that league MVP. He took the MVP out in the NBA Finals once again, just like in 1993 when he took Charles Barkley out. Now, in 97-98, they also had Jeff Hornacek, Brian Russell. The team was a legitimate team. John Stockton, one of the greatest point guards of all time, he wasn't washed up. These guys were all-star caliber players. And in 1998, Michael Jordan was the only all-star on the Chicago Bulls. Scottie Pippen didn't make the all-star team in 98. Dennis Rodman didn't make the all-star team in 98. Look at how they performed. Scottie Pippen averaging 15 points per game. Dennis Rodman averaged 8.5 rebounds per game. 2-3 points per game? I mean, is that spectacular? I mean, Tristan Thompson did better than that. And if we're talking about old players, if we're saying that, John Stockton was 34 years old and, Karl Malone was 34 or 35, then how about when LeBron lost in 2014 to a 37-year-old Tim Duncan, to a 36-year-old Manu Ginobili, to a 31, 32-year-old Tony Parker? I mean, if that's old, then what do you call this, ancient? I mean, we can't just pick and choose when we can call a player old. I mean, Karl Malone was in the league till 2004. We're talking about 1997, 1998. We're talking about 6-7 years before his retirement. And he was a legitimate all-star throughout all those years till he became a Laker in 2004. Then he randomly brought up Kobe Bryant and said, Kobe was crying and this and that. And I mean, if you're a competitive player and you've played organized sports, and you put in your heart into something, and when you fail, you're going to cry. You're going to be in tears. It's going to be painful. I don't understand what his point was. Anyways, but look, just to end all this, at the end of the video, he mentioned that Kobe lost to the Detroit Pistons in 2004. In the following year, LeBron James beat that same Detroit Pistons team, which is so far from the truth. Oh my God, this is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. First of all, number one, LeBron James didn't even make the playoffs in 2005. Kobe, when he lost to that Detroit Pistons team with Ben Wallace, being one of the best defensive players in the league, and Chauncey Billups and Richard Hamilton and Tayshaun Prince and Rasheed Wallace, and a lot of these guys in their prime, LeBron James did not face them in 2005. He did face them in 2006, where he lost to the Detroit Pistons. I can't even say that was the same Detroit Pistons team that beat the Los Angeles Lakers, because that was 2 years later. That was when they got old. That was when Ben Wallace was on his way down, right before he got traded to the Chicago Bulls. And I don't understand why he even brought that up. But anyways, in 2006, that Detroit Pistons team beat LeBron James. And then in 2007, which was 3 years later, that LeBron James faced that Detroit Pistons. Without who? Without their best player, Ben Wallace. There is no doubt in my mind and those people who watch basketball, that Ben Wallace was the most valuable player next to Chauncey Billups. I'll say Ben Wallace, then Chauncey Billups. Without Ben Wallace, their defense just collapsed. Ben Wallace was that key factor, the guy who defended Shaq in the 2004 NBA Finals, who was the defensive player of the year after year after year, who was a legitimate rebounder, shot blocker at the rim. Super strong athlete. We're talking about Ben Wallace, who was not there in 2007 when the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons. And remember, we're talking about also Ben Wallace, who was not there, and their Hall of Fame coach, Larry Brown. Larry Brown was the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers when Allen Iverson led that trash team to the NBA Final. They did have Dikembe Mutombo, who was Defensive Player of the Year that year, but he was 35 years old. He was a little older. But he was still, doing damage in the league with Tyrone Hill and George Lynch and Eric Snow and Aaron McKee. Anyways, that was the Hall of Fame coach that led the Philadelphia 76ers to the NBA Finals and then led the Detroit Pistons to the NBA Finals in 2004. And he was not there in 2007. So new head coach, no Ben Wallace, older Rasheed Wallace, older Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince hurt. Still played in that series, but you could clearly tell he was hurt. But that year when LeBron went to the finals to face the San Antonio Spurs, if you just take their record, of course they'll lose more games in the West because the West was so much better. But let's just say, for the sake of the argument, you give LeBron James that same record that he won in that Eastern Conference, put it in the Western Conference. They fall under the 6th seed. The Spurs were the 3rd seed. So they would have faced the Spurs in the first round, and guess what would happen? Another sweep. The only reason why LeBron went to that NBA Finals was because he was in the Eastern Conference, where he played a 41-win Wizards team, 41-win Nets team, and then played that Detroit Pistons team, who I think was a good team, but they weren't a great team without Ben Wallace, with all their players aging, and they were not old. I'm not saying they're old. I think Rasheed Wallace about 32, 33 years old. They weren't old. They were just not the same team that they were in 2004, when Rasheed was more closer to his prime, where Rasheed was playing, closer to those Blazer days, where Chauncey Billups was, doing damage. And remember, Chauncey Billups was the only player, I think, who kind of stayed in his prime throughout those years. Even in 2007, I think he was a great player. And remember, LeBron James never got a chance to make it to the playoffs until they acquired Larry Hughes. Larry Hughes, people sleep on. The man was averaging 22 a game, 22, 6 and 4, and he was averaging 2.9 steals a game. He was an all-NBA second-team defender. Larry Hughes, when he came and joined LeBron James, which I thought at that time that Larry Hughes was going to average like 25 a game because now he had somebody who can pass him the ball. But Larry Hughes just collapsed because LeBron James demanded him to stand out to the three-point shot, the three-point land, and make sure he gets catch-and-shoot opportunities, where Larry Hughes liked to be a little bit on ball. He liked to have the ball in his hands to create for himself. He averaged 22 a game before he joined LeBron. So Larry Hughes wasn't a bum. He became a bum. But we'll get into that some other time. But anyways, just wanted to, talk a little bit about, this brother who clearly is lost. I don't know what he has against Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan, by far, a better basketball player than LeBron James. And to end all of this, we're talking about 10 scoring titles to 1. Forget about the championships. We won't bring up 6 finals, MVPs, and 6 championships. We're talking about 10-time scoring title. 10 times led the league in scoring. You know how many times LeBron James did that? Once. We're talking about multiple-time league leader in steals. How many times did LeBron James lead the league in steals? 0. Michael Jordan was a 9-time All-NBA defensive player. How many times was All-NBA first-team defender? How many times was LeBron? 5 times. How many times MVPs? Michael Jordan 5, LeBron 4. If it was about MVPs, which MVPs is just more of a team award. But even in MVPs, which is a team award, Michael Jordan wins that as well. Player efficiency rating is a PER. Who has the greatest PER in the regular season and in the NBA in NBA playoffs? That's Michael Jordan. And if PER really meant anything, then Anthony Davis is the 3rd greatest basketball player of all time because he's the 3rd highest PER. Doesn't mean anything. PER, I'm just trying to tell you guys, even if it comes down to stats, by age 35, LeBron James is 35 right now. By age 35, Michael Jordan for his career average by age 35, had more points per game than LeBron, more steals per game than LeBron, more blocks per game than LeBron, a better field goal percentage than LeBron, a better free throw percentage than LeBron, and he averaged less turnovers per game. LeBron James is the all-time leader in turnovers in the regular season and playoffs combined. He's the all-time leader in most missed field goals in NBA playoff history, but you won't hear about that on ESPN. You won't hear about that on the news. You won't hear about that on any sports channels. They won't bring it up. At the end of the day, let's stop hating, because if we're trying to nitpick, it's very easy to nitpick LeBron James' career. That 2011 NBA Finals, already bad enough. But we want to talk about Michael Jordan, about the fact that he played against, 3-4 All-Stars, but that don't mean nothing. Anyways, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much for checking out my videos, taking the time to watch these videos. You guys stay blessed. If you guys want me to continue to talk about these, MJ haters or Kobe haters, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about it, post more videos, expose these guys, because they really don't know basketball. And I love talking about it because I want to bring it up to people's attention and show people. I'm going to get on Nick Wright's case. I'm going to get on all these guys' cases, because honestly, when I watched it on television, Nick Wright, the other day I was watching it, he said Larry Bird averaged 22 points per game when he averaged 24.6. I mean, the numbers, they just throw these numbers out there and expect you guys to not Google it, expect you guys not to research it. I mean, Michael Jordan played a bunch of bum teams, but they won 62, 63 games. Anyways, thank you guys so much for your time. Please subscribe and like my channel. If you guys like this video, please hit the like button. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what I can do to improve my channel. I'm making this for you guys, and I really do appreciate all the views that I'm getting from you guys. Shout out to everybody out there who's watching the videos. You guys stay blessed. Have a good one. Thank you. Salute.